Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It is Nick. It is Drew. We're back here to talk about, what is he trying to read?
I'm trying to turn on my light. I forgot to turn on my light after all of this. How are
you doing today? I'm good.
I'm doing good as well. And, I'm really happy that we're once again not having Randy, because Randy sucks, even though he totally does. Amazing work on the advertising side. But yeah.
Ironically, he owns a Tesla and yet doubts them so much. He has so many doubts in the company. Maybe that's a recurring theme, is like owners have more doubts than non-owners. We could probably get some statistics on that.
I mean,
I know some channels that are like convinced robo-taxis are going to happen soon, and they don't have a Tesla. But channels that do have Teslas that say, no way, this is never happening. So who do you trust, really? I don't know. How do you fall back on?
I trust every politician ever, because every politician has my best interest in mind.
Man, you know who we should really trust?
Your favorite politician in 2020.
I would, Nick, but they're just also good.
I know.
Every politician is so trustworthy and qualified and believable. Speaking of believable, have you caught what Nikola was doing this past week?
Yes! Oh, we're going to talk about this!
So you may notice in this week's episode and every other episode of EV, there's no B-roll, and that's for good reason.
Shocking.
Because Nikola has decided they wanted to silence and abuse the YouTube copyright strike system to silence people talking about what Nikola admitted to doing. That is the hilarious part about that. Like, a lot of the videos they've issued strikes for are very old. They've been around for a while. And yet, now that Nikola came forward and admitted that they rolled down a truck from a hill and filmed it, to give the illusion that it was self-propelled, when in fact was not. It was a pusher. Now that they've admitted that, they've decided to take down as many YouTube videos as they can and issue strikes to these channels that were using the footage in complete fair use. They were commentating on it. They were not, just straight up re-uploading it. Also, it's not even like... I'm going to go off here unless...
Yeah, please do. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this. Please.
You do?
No, you do. You've experienced this so many times. Dude,
I've dealt with copyright strikes myself.
Yes.
On EV. But the crazy thing is that was not from a company. That was from people online who didn't know how YouTube copyright system worked, or people that were directly trying to extort other channels and trying to make money.
Which is illegal.
Very illegal. Not
it's
okay,
felony,
but
folks.
It's just
Don't
some idiot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some idiot online trying to abuse the system to make money. This is a publicly traded company that is abusing the copyright strike system. Yep. It's not just some idiot online that's like, I'll make $500 with copyright striking people. And also, the point of having a copyright strike system is to protect your intellectual property. Like, the point of that is to prevent someone from, re-uploading Avengers Endgame. I don't know why that's my go-to. It's just a popular movie, you know. Re-uploading the full movie, and Marvel can say, hey, that's our property. We live off of that. We make money off of that. We don't want you stealing it. Mm-hmm. The fact that Nikola, or any EV company rather, any company, automotive, electric or not, the idea that they would issue strikes for someone using footage of their product, of their brand, in a way that is, who cares if it's helping or hurting them? Tesla does not issue strikes for you using their footage, because that's not how their business survives.
Exactly.
They don't capitalize off of footage of their vehicles in motion.
Nikola does.
That's the truth, though, is that they're counting on people looking at footage of their prototypes, whether they're self-propelled or not. They're counting on that carrying their brand and their stock price. So they're issuing strike. Like, I have not seen, I'm relatively new to the EV space, but I have not seen any automaker ever issue strikes to anyone for using commercial footage
even
that
like
they
Apple
put out
or
there.
Disney or like Warner Brother. Like, they'll claim the video, right, and unmonetize it.
Sure.
But they don't strike it. Like,
to strike the channel
like,
and claim that you're taking their intellectual property and capitalizing off of it. Like, it's footage. It's not like they're making their own Nikola pickup truck and trying to sell it. No, this is footage of a vehicle that Nikola released and didn't have a problem with.
In their press kit.
Yes. This was footage they put out there and wanted people to watch. Look, the Nikola 1, it's in motion. It's rolling. It's being moved around. See, it's not a pusher. It's a prototype. So channels used that footage saying, here's the Nikola 1, and then, of course, talked about it more recently because Nikola admitted this was not self-propelled, and now they're going to penalize and strike channels that make a living off of YouTube, and they're going to try to put people out of business and get to not have work anymore for showing clips of their pusher.
Yep.
If you were not anti-Nikola yet, I don't understand how you're trying to defend that. I don't understand, even if Nikola wasn't a scam and wasn't known for dissuading, being dishonest and trying to convince investors that they should buy the stock even though they don't have prototypes or, we now have from the Hindenburg research several claims.
Very ironic name.
It was very appropriate, but ironic.
Explosive news. It's just
Hindenburg. It's perfect. Which also is worth mentioning. Hindenburg, they are short-selling Nikola. However, they're still right about their accusations. Like, this is why they're shorting Nikola, is because they're correct.
Yeah.
And Nikola's response to Hindenburg, I think, was more damaging than the Hindenburg report itself. Was the way Nikola handled it. Yeah. Was the way they were like, no, we never actually said it was self-propelled, even though there was a laundry list of clips of Trevor Milton saying, it's not a pusher. Look at our real truck. This is real. It's so real. You can drive it. Obviously, we're not going to drive it because that could be dangerous. And footage of him inside the truck saying, no, this is real. It's fully functional. See, I'm tapping the touchscreen. That means it's a fully functional semi-truck. And then for them to years later say, well, we never actually, it was designed to be functional. No, it couldn't drive itself, but it was designed to drive itself. So it was fully functional in that way. Like,
they're issuing copyright strikes. Like, a
right.
copyright strike, for those who may not be familiar with the YouTube system, you only get 3 chances with copyright strikes before they literally delete your channel.
Permanently ban you.
Permanently ban you by blocking your IP address, which means you cannot use YouTube.
And I think even your social security, yeah. If you start another YouTube channel under a VPN and you try to apply for YouTube monetization, they will recognize that you are on the blacklist and they will keep you banned. So they'll ban you as soon as they find out that you started another channel. So this is not, strikes are not a slap on the wrist. Strikes are punches to the face.
Decking punch that lands you in the ICU. That's one strike.
Yeah. No, strikes are not a little, it's not like a copyright claim. It's just like, hey, don't use that, please. We want you to be permanently removed from the site because you showed clips of our footage. Yeah. And automotive companies have not, from what I've seen, have never done that. They've never issued a strike. Not in this way. I mean, it'd be different if there was an entire event that you reacted to and they were like, well, we wanted that event to be exclusive to, I don't know, reservation holders or something. I don't know. But my point is, it was definitely no EV startup.
It was in their press kit. It doesn't get much more clear than that.
Right.
As in, it was linked in their press kit.
Yes, and they're specifically going after smaller channels because there are other agencies like Bloomberg that showed this footage and, from what we know, did not receive strikes. So basically, because they know Bloomberg has a legal team and would likely fight back and
or at least publish an article or a video about it to their millions of subscribers. True. That's part of the problem with this. Tom Nash was one of the creators who got struck. He has 40,000 I think subs, 30 something. I don't remember. Not about your size on
sizable, but not enormous. You know.
And definitely it was a full-time job for him, and he makes great content. I was following him before this whole thing, and it's a great EV content creator. And just the fact that this multi-billion-dollar valued company on the publicly traded by the SEC issued a copyright 2 different videos. 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 It's mind-boggling. It honestly, it's at the level of Bob Iger from Disney just removing Talos of talks because, or Talos of movies because you used a clip from what was that Captain Marvel that Dan didn't like, and just like one little frame and just removes the whole thing because we can't have any bad news about us, and it just shows you how House of Cards-ish, kind of, not the TV show, but it was literally just a House of Cards, all of this Nikola stuff. It's so dependent on only good news coming out, keeping that stock price up. And just come to find out, Trevor, what's-his-face, made off with $250 million. He sold out. Yeah. He owned some shell company that owned part of it. And anyway, there's like... I watched a little video. I don't quite I understand the stock transfers, but... There was a bunch of shell.
The more you read, the worse it gets.
Oh, totally. It looks like
especially with Trevor's background.
It looks like a stinking pond of muck from the surface, but when you get down into it, it's so much worse. Oh,
you find out it's a radioactive pond.
Worse than radioactive, has aliens crawling out of it or something. But Trevor has started other public companies that have also gone defunct too. Like, I don't know why the SEC has not gone after this guy yet. Like, honestly, there is so much wrong with everything.
And
that
it's in
Trevor
the name,
does. Right?
Nikola. If
Nikola.
you're emphasizing hydrogen fuel cells, why are you naming your company off of the electric motor?
Because this is just like buying Tesla 20 years or 10 years ago. I mean, it's the exact
exactly
same thing. You have to buy this.
It's so simple when you think about it. It's as simple as they wanted to be associated as another version of Tesla and wanted to piggyback off of their success and their hype as much as possible so that they could get as much people invested in the stock and never really plan on releasing anything. Mm-hmm. And I think that there would be a lot less criticism if they had actually released anything they had ever announced. And there were several things they announced years ago that they said would come to market 2018, 2019, 2020. And sure, Tesla has been late to things too, but they have delivered things. Oh, you know, they actually
they did this little thing called, gigafactories where they, actually make products. Who would have thought it's crazy?
As Elon said, you can drive that fraud. There are things Tesla is late to, but there is nothing Nikola has been on time to. They have not delivered anything they've announced.
Well, that's okay, Drew. They made $40,000 last year of recognized revenue installing some Tesla solar panels on Trevor's house. So,
I can't wait for the Q3
totally
earnings
legit.
Call.
Oh my gosh.
This will be fascinating.
They are publicly. They will have to do that. Oh man. I think he's gonna.
I think
they're gonna vanish before then. I mean, there's no. This is a supernova. This is a supernova in the making of the scale of Bernie
It's a great
Madoff.
Netflix documentary.
Oh
I think.
My gosh, this is.
I don't understand how the stock still goes up sometimes. Like, somehow there's still people buying the stock. But from what I've read, there's a bunch of people that were issued stocks in the company as a form of payment. Mm-hmm. And those stocks they're not allowed to sell until December.
Yep. And that was all of Trevor's publicly recognized stock that he technically owns is that same December timeframe. But through this shell company that he owns that owned part of Nikola before they went public, he's actually sold $250 million worth of shares the instant that he was able to do it. Like, there was a 30-day period. He had to wait 30 days to sell a certain number, and then he had to wait 90 days to sell another certain number. And between both of those sales that he sold literally on the 31st day and the 91st day, he made off with $250-something million. This Trevor guy is bad news. I mean, props to him for figuring out a way to make $250 million without actually doing anything in this world, except for,
it's
squashing
insanity
small
that
creators.
You can actually do that and not get
the SEC
arrested.
Has got to come after this guy. I mean,
I believe they are, from
they
my understanding. I think the Department of Justice is investigating them right now, and they're probably keeping a sharp eye on Trevor. And yeah, I don't understand how someone can be so deceitful and get away with it, like, legally. Just looking at the quotes he said in the past of, like, cowards run, but the real heroes get things done and stay and fight. And then he leaves the company the next week and deletes his Twitter account and tries to, and now they're issuing strikes to people who brought up exactly what Nikola admitted to. It's not necessarily, it's not even, what's the term? They're not lying. They're not making up baseless accusations. They are just literally reporting on what Nikola said, and Nikola is punishing them for that. And just trying to imagine that this Nikola 1 didn't exist. And there's also an insane amount of evidence coming forward now in the past few weeks that they bought the semi-truck designs that they used to sue Tesla. They wanted to sue the Tesla Semi because of the wraparound windshield. And Nikola was not the inventor of the wraparound windshield. There were plenty of designs and people Trevor was in contact with that had designed semi-trucks that had looked like that, in the concept form. But it's becoming more and more obvious that it was a patent troll, as in like Nikola somehow got this patent. They shouldn't have gotten it in the first place. But the Tesla Semi lawyers had a very good case, in my opinion, to say, like, they didn't invent this. They bought it from someone else, and now they're using it to sue anyone, and they want to get 2 or 3% money off of every Tesla Semi sold. It's literally the definition of they want to piggyback off of Tesla's success. Like, they're just hoping they can do as much as they can, as little as they can, and make the most amount of money off of Tesla's benefit, which is why in every interview Trevor was in, he always said, it's kind of like buying Tesla before they blew up. It's kind of like buying Tesla. And we made the Badger pickup truck because we saw the hype that the Cybertruck had and realized that more people would invest in us if we made a pickup. Like, the logic is so poor.
Some 3-year-old graphic designer to do our internal 3D mock-up of the whatever that thing is, Badger.
And they have postponed Nikola World, surprising no one.
Shocking. All those poor people who paid for tickets to Nikola World. I mean,
there were all these tweets about how you'll see the Badger prototype in September. Nikola World's in September. Nikola World's in September. Here it comes. It's coming. Yeah, that's when everything
October
will be
2nd.
Unveiled. Here we are. Actually, we want to delay it until December. And the interesting thing is they waited till like a few weeks ago, like end of September, beginning of October, to officially delay Nikola World to an undisclosed time. They didn't say how far back they were going to push it.
They're trying to pump their stock price or something.
And the reason for it was the pandemic.
Oh, yes, the pandemic.
Did they just realize now?
We've never seen an electric automaker ever be able to make an in-person event during a pandemic. I mean, there's no way.
And also, this isn't new. Like, we've had the pandemic all year, basically, and they decide right after their founder and everything leaves the company, and they realize they don't have a prototype and they can't get it out. Now they say, well, actually, to be safe, we're not going to have it. What happened at the end of September that made you realize, oh, we should delay it now? Like, you couldn't have thought of that a few months ago when we were in the peak of cases and everything. They're like, now let's cancel it, actually. Right after our founder ups and leaves and we run out of we start copyright striking everyone, and we're in the middle of an investigation.
They just seem very desperate. Like, they just seem so desperate.
That's what it is. Yes. Incredibly desperate.
Taking time to copyright strike Tom Nash. Like, who is sitting there at Nikola who has so much time on their hands to go
Who has that kind of,
Right? Like,
it shows you where their focus is right now. Their focus is not on production. Keep up to date with Nico's Field. Is a great YouTube channel and Twitter account. It's basically like Jeff Roberts or Tobias Lind of Germany covering Gigafactory updates, except he flies a drone over Nikola's groundbreaking construction site all the time and likes to showcase how there is nothing there and nothing has changed. But he will update people all the time in Twitter feeds and be like, hey, look, he's just tweeted recently. Finally, and it shows
a bird made a nest in this cactus. Woo!
Nothing happening. Wouldn't be shocked if they never actually break ground there ever, and they just end up selling this land to help offset their legal fees.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, because come whenever they have their Q3 earnings call. I haven't done any research on this. I don't know when that is.
I know that the Q2 earnings call was not informative at all, and all they really talked about was that Trevor Milton put solar panels on his house. And that is our earnings. Now they're going to want to not bring him up at all if possible, so I'm not sure what earnings they're going to talk about. But
They're
GM postponed their
deal with them,
end
right?
date for their...
Yeah.
I regret to use the term partnership, because if you've looked into the fine print on this partnership, GM essentially has to do nothing.
I thought GM was going to do everything. That was Nikola's deal.
Well,
We can't make it, but
Nikola's deal is
we can.
we will pay GM to build the Badger.
With what
So basically,
money?
Yeah. All of the capital they got from their stocks. Basically, GM gets a substantial piece of Nikola stock. So basically, they get millions, if not billions, of dollars worth of stock. If that hoping the stock doesn't drop, and then they build the Badger for Nikola, and Nikola reimburses GM for building the Badger, and GM gets a profit on each Badger sold. So there's no upfront cost GM has to put. Like, there's no... So many people took that as, oh, GM invested in Nikola. Not really. GM met with Nikola. Nikola said, do you want billions of dollars? And also, if you build our car, we will pay you for it, and we'll pay you back whatever it costs to build it plus extra. So GM... They can't lose financially from this deal other than reputation. They'll lose reputation, but financially they don't have to up anything. They don't have to put up any money. Literally, like Nikola didn't ask for any finances to be acquired.
It kind of feels like, when someone is trying to buy a car that they really can't afford, they go to the dealership and they get the kind of crummy new car, but still kind of looks okay. Yes. And they want the 92-month lease with 0 down and 98% APR and just all of the worst terms. And, then they drive off a lot and then go brag to their friends about their new car and how much money they have. That's kind of what it feels like right now. It's like someone is just fluff. It's just fluff. And it kind of shows, I think this is the first big, at least in the EV space, the first big copyright news item, I guess. I mean, there have been in other cases where bigger YouTubers have shut down smaller YouTubers because of this broken copyright strike system. But I am really hoping that YouTube can figure out a way to fix this copyright strike system, because, Drew, you've been affected by it for like 2 months.
Yeah.
We were all sitting nail biting, wondering if Drew was going to have a career tomorrow morning.
I hope we don't lose the entire network with those 2 strikes, neither of which were rightful. Yeah. And the first guy didn't even knowingly give me a strike. He thought he was just... He wanted to remove it as soon as I contacted him. And then it took him 3 weeks to remove it after the guy emailed them like the next day after he issued it. It still took YouTube 3 weeks to finally remove it. So it's very broken. It's very messed up. And the fact that there's some idiots out there abusing it sickens me, but it sickens me even more to know that a publicly traded company is abusing it, knowingly breaking the law, knowing that, hey, this is fair use. And it appears Tom Nash is going to fight Nikola in court. He's going up against him.
DMing Tom, and I sent him an IP attorney. So we'll see if... We'll see what happens, but I am all in support.
I think he has a great case.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he has probably the best IP YouTube-related copyright strike case.
Oh, yeah.
This is so easy, and any lawyer would want to pick this up as pro bono for,
Because it's not from some random guy. It's from like a corporation with money.
Dude, yeah, totally.
that's censoring tiny channels, trying to prevent people from making a living for using content in a completely fair way that does not hurt. I mean, it might hurt Nikola's reputation, but I don't see how hurting a company's reputation is warrant of a copyright strike. you know, it could Apple copyright strike unbox therapy. Like,
Okay,
I don't think that would go over well.
The reason why the system is so broken is because the laws are so broken. The laws haven't been updated since the 70s.
Yes,
these IP
it's very
laws.
dated.
It's so dated. It has no concept. The internet is all about sharing stuff, you know, and you were in Luai, right? Like one of your pictures that you took on Twitter made it into Luai, and you had some audio that was used.
There's a still
Shane
from my
Dawson.
vlog,
Yeah,
from a YouTube video.
Exactly. And so, like, according
Shane
to
Dawson
the law,
used audio clip too. Yeah,
according to the law of the land, you can go take that footage and you could sue either Felix or Shane Dawson for using your content. That is fundamentally broken, and that's something that Congress has to figure out, to be honest. It's so stupid because that's not how the internet works, right? Like, why? One of the most popular channels, or at least series,
pretty much
on one of the more popular channels. All it is
the whole
just,
premise of the show is reacting to other people's
right?
stuff.
Exactly. And there are also so many cases where, you know, you are reacting to an Apple stream, or you're reacting to, you know, you want to do a movie review with Dan, and you want to have, like, you know, 10-second little clips to show some cool cinematography. Or I watch tons of cinematography channels that also have problems with this because, you know, they want to show some cool lens that's being used or some director's trick to move the camera or whatever. And I don't know any of them personally, but I would imagine they're all getting striked and whatever because it's all just automated and not striked, sorry, claimed. But it's all so messed up, and YouTube has a tough job. I mean, I'll give it to them.
Sure.
They have a tough job. They have to basically...
It's very complicated, but...
Inside of the current laws, they have to update the outdated laws to work for this platform. And I think overall they've done a fair enough job with the system where you as a content creator are giving up your rights to have the legal... When someone fills out a copyright strike, they have to, you know, sign some legal jargon digitally, and that gives up that copyright claimer's right to sue the content creator, so that this can all happen inside of YouTube and not, you know. What if someone took you to court, Drew? I mean, you can't afford that. I can't afford that. No one can afford to stand up to Nikola. You know,
no one wants to.
Maybe the entire internet standing behind Tom Nash, but even then, that's kind of a maybe.
When you go to court, the lawyers win. That's typically how it works.
Exactly.
No one really wins out of the court case. It's mainly just the lawyers rack up the legal fees, and the fact that Nikola, which should be a company focusing on their products and producing prototypes and unveiling them, are now focused on what tiny YouTube channels are using our footage of a vehicle that we told people was functional and it actually wasn't functional. Who's using that, and how do we take them down? It's basically like the equivalent of trying to delete a tweet. You know, it doesn't. We all saw it. We all know it happened, and this is just.
It just looks worse when you delete the tweet because then everyone.
Yeah, it's just a sore loser.
Post a screenshot of it.
You're just. It shows how insecure they are about it and how nervous they are that people are aware of this, because all they have for capital at this point is just stock and hoping people keep buying it. Like, that's all they can do, which is just sad. And now that Nikola World's been postponed, some people called it canceled, but I would argue it's probably canceled at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if it never happens, because they don't have a prototype. That's just it. There isn't one. There's no Badger. It doesn't work. They 3D printed some parts and tweeted them out. Like, look, the first sightings of the Nikola chair. You know, they may have messed around with some stuff, but now that Trevor's, you know, dug his own grave and has countless tweets.
Assuming the SEC doesn't go after Trevor, he is made out. Trevor was the one who won here. I mean, sure, he had to nuke his social media presence, and he's now going to, you know, not be on the internet ever. But he has $250 million to go do whatever the heck he wants to.
It's the next Theranos.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so sad.
Almost worse.
It's so sad.
It's very sad.
And
I think people are very passionate about it because Tesla's vision is so noble and I think so admirable, and we want to applaud any company really that wants to try and do EVs and try to make a new product that people can enjoy. And we know the automotive space is tough, and most of them go bankrupt, these startups, and that lots of people are also really eager to invest in these companies and watch them grow and see how they do. And knowing, as more and more information comes out, it's becoming more obvious that knowing there's a company that's trying to not change the world, not create products and release them, and they're literally just trying to say, how can we capitalize off of people who don't know what they're doing? It's a scam. And it's like a scam charity in a way, It's like you're trying to take money from people that are trying to root for renewables and a better future and creating better products that people enjoy, and piggyback off of that and just turn it in about you. How can I make this about myself? How can I be benefiting from this without having to do any of the work? And that's why, I see some people say, if you don't like Nikola, just don't talk about him. And it's like, well, there's a lot of people that seem to not understand. There's certain news agencies that will list Nikola like they're a major player or they're a Tesla competition. And so many companies will play them off as just another automaker, and people don't realize what they're investing in. People have no clue what this company is doing and how deceptive it is. So forgive us for wanting to expose that and say, no, companies that scam people or lie or are being this deceptive, that's not okay. Yeah. We should look down on that, and we should prevent companies from just releasing pushers and trying to pass them off as functional and, oh yeah, no, it's real. It can drive. It's totally real. And getting rich off of lies, basically. It's sad. It's not what I like talking about, but
no, but it's so important though, because like lots of people are deriving their livelihoods from YouTube. Like you, Drew, perfect example. Hopefully, me at some point between YouTube and other revenue streams. This is what a lot of people do for a living, and it's just so broken, and it's so sad to see that it takes 3 weeks to get a copyright strike expunged when both parties really want it to be expunged ASAP.
Right.
Like, it would be one thing if the guy was dragging his feet and it took 3 weeks, but like he was on it and emailing them, quite a few times trying to say, hey, can we speed this process up because this guy might lose his channel and I feel bad. But it still took 3 weeks because there's so much bureaucracy. And okay, automation is great from the company's perspective, but it really just sucks as a customer and end user when you have to deal with all these robots and web pages and processes and tickets and things don't get touched for a long time. And it's like, just give me someone to talk to, please.
Right.
Who can actually fix it, right? You can, of course, you can talk to someone, but just like calling Verizon or whatever, you can talk to someone, but finding someone who actually knows how to fix it, that's very rare. And it's just so sad that
Nikola should know better.
Totally, right?
Knowing that trying to go after these tiny channels wouldn't help. I don't understand. Like, even if the system is going to allow them to abuse it, why do they think this would help? This is just going to make people more angry, and it's just going to make more YouTubers take them to court. And like, they didn't need this on their plate. They already had enough as it is. And just scam or not, even if Trevor Milton was just a terrible hype man and maybe there is some promising tech that this company had to offer, this was a bad move. Like, I cannot think of a worse marketing team if everyone thinks your company is a scam. Like, what did you have to do to get to that point? Like, with so many channels doubting you and so many people angry, like, that's... You have to have made a certain colossal failure to get to that point, because there are certain people that will always be haters on Tesla or other EVs and that kind of thing, but none like this from what I've seen. You don't get this type of hate without some type of you did something. I mean, you screwed up.
Striking teeny channels. Why?
I'm just very grateful I did not use any of their B-roll. It was on the back of my mind. It was in the back of my head that I was like, this type of company probably would. I didn't think they would, but it was a possibility that I was like, yeah, I should probably be cautious. You probably don't want to show footage from Nikola because they might get angry. So be careful. Now we know. Don't use any footage from Nikola, guys. You definitely still speak out about them and talk about what they're doing. Just don't use their footage.
Don't give them that chance to abuse the system.
Definitely not.
I mean, I am really excited for this case because hopefully, like, this will help YouTube, fix their system, right?
Set the record straight.
If there's some really big lawsuit that, involves a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company that, is going up in flames anyway, but this is just adding more fan to the flame. It might get YouTube
more hydrogen to the flame.
Only from the Hindenburg's report. I love that.
When
I saw Hindenburg, I was just like, oh, that's a man.
The humanity.
The humanity. But yeah, I really hope that YouTube does fix it, right? I love YouTube.
Me too.
It's my favorite, one of Google's Alphabet's child companies, which isn't saying
I use it a lot.
I know. I'm on it too. Hey, we're on YouTube right now. Hello. For you podcast listeners, go join us on YouTube. You can watch our smiling faces. But yeah, there's just no reason why this needs to be so permanent, right? Like, it should not be so easy to issue a copyright strike.
No.
At all. Like, I think if that's the one change that they made out of this whole thing, that would fix 80% of the problem. You should have to write a formal letter to YouTube. Okay, sure, issue a claim and have it, taken down, like private wise, just that video. But to actually issue a strike on the channel, you should have to like write a letter,
or just to block out that part of the video,
true.
When there's so many channels that got striked for showing a 10-second clip,
or just go into the YouTube editor and edit it out,
blur it out, black it out, and just be like, okay, I didn't know, so darken it out if you detect it, and if the original owner decides it's okay, he can remove that block. There's so many other ways to go about it.
Yeah, and that would require a lot of technology changes. But all I'm saying is just remove that little form that you can fill out to issue a strike and replace it with some super painful manual process that only people who actually use. Like right now, trolls use it, right? Like you've experienced Nick Storter, Drew, some guy who's just sitting
trolls,
there, who is just clicking through his YouTube channel. Oh, strike. One guy didn't know any better, who wouldn't have done it if he had to, send in a letter or call an attorney or something.
Right.
And another guy,
to him and he just said,
"Yeah, sorry.
If you have credited me, I would have been fine with it." And I said, "Well, I can add that." And he said, "Okay, cool. Just add my name and then I'll remove the strike." And I was like, "Yeah, it's
done.
For the record, you don't have to issue a strike just to ask for credit. It was just another news site posted your picture without crediting you, so I thought I was getting it from their site, and that's how the internet works. So it's very dated, and it was a photo. It wasn't even a video. It wasn't like I just took his intellectual property and reposted the whole thing. It was like a whole video that had a few cutaway shots, and that was enough, I guess. But yeah, and other people were striking channels that credited them. It's not even like they were stealing without permission. It was like they were straight up letting you know this is where I got it from. And the internet can't survive if we're going to strike channels just for tiny things like that. It's not going to work.
It's not the culture of the internet. I mean, I don't know what it is with this EV community. The tech space has never seemed to have this problem. Like
bizarrely,
occasionally Apple would, claim a video that was, your reaction stream or whatever, but I haven't heard of a tech YouTuber being like striked and like disappeared because they used some content somewhere. Like maybe I'm just not.
Zone of Tech got one, I think, for showing how to get a developer's license.
Well,
for free.
That is more than just using.
Yeah, that's a little different than B-roll.
I'd say that's a lot more justifiable than using B-roll of the product. Like
it might get hung up on the technicality of the way they issued the strike, but still, I mean, it was a big deal when they did it. Everyone was talking about it, and that they may have had a better case because he was directly showing how you can bypass a revenue stream for Apple. So they were like, okay, that's different, but that's not what's going on here. So anyway. Is there any good news we can talk about?
Actually, I do. Did you hear Sandy Monroe's EV startup?
No.
It's going to be called Nikola. 2.0. No.
Dang it. You got me so excited there for a second.
No, yeah, it's actually a more legit thing. It's a 3-wheeled electric vehicle concept that parks on the wall. It parks vertically on a wall to take up less floor space.
Wow. That's cool.
Pretty cool. He's partnering with a company somewhere in Europe, and their whole factory burned down. And so he's helping them relocate it here to the U.S. and make it more efficient and lean. And it's a cool little idea.
Cool.
And I was like, yeah. And then I looked him up on Twitter, and evidently he follows me. So I don't know.
Who does?
Sandy Monroe and Associates follows me. I was like,
oh, that's cool.
Just yesterday when
does he follow a lot of people?
He follows 800 people. So yeah, a good number.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, huh. Well, thanks, Sandy.
I can't tell which is real. There's so many Sandy Monroe.
Oh, maybe this isn't real. I guess I don't know. I mean, it has 7,000 followers, so.
That looks legit. He's not following me. Come on, Monroe.
Oh, Drew's the
what
YouTuber.
What did Nick do?
I don't know. It's kind of random. But anyway, I was watching his video on the EV concept, and it's a pretty good idea. I've always loved little three-wheeled things. They seem pretty efficient.
Like the Arcimoto stuff?
Yeah, kind of like Arcimoto or Elio Motors had like a gas-powered 3-wheeled kind of bicycle car thing motorcycle car thing that had doors and stuff.
Be good for India.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Exactly. And you can do a lot of creative things with Tesla is all about reinventing things and taking old concepts,
new approach.
Taking into a new approach. And something that Tesla hasn't done yet is change the 4-wheel concept. They've always done, I think, all of their vehicles except for the Semi have 4 wheels, right? They're all
pretty much.
Even the Cyber ATV has 4 wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So I like little ideas that kind of say, okay, well, this is the conventional approach. Let's tweak it a little, and there are going to be some compromises, right? 3-wheeled vehicle is going to have less traction in bad weather, slightly worse safety because it's going to be smaller and less crumple zone areas, and if we're honest, it doesn't look quite as cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It looks like you're having a little trike around, a little big
you
wheel
kind
or
of pull
whatever.
up in that thing and don't have quite the same effect as a new car.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
But
it's
efficient,
functional.
they're efficient and they're cheap, right? I think their target's like between $15,000 and $20,000 for one of these little electric vehicles that's basically just like a city car, right? And they have this concept where you put it onto this little mounting rack, and since it's so small, it's a 2-seater electric vehicle that's like designed. It looks like a 1950s Porsche. Like it's a very clean, like classic design. I love it. But it like hooks onto this rack-mounted thing, and it just goes onto the wall. Like it drives up the wall when you're not in it, and it parks on the wall to save storage space. So you can park it in an alley or.
That's cool.
And it's like that is creative and something that not rethinking the 4-wheel design would allow you to do.
Sure.
And
I could see that doing really well in a lot of more third world countries where they need more parking and
it's electric,
something cheap
and solar powered.
And you can plug it in.
You don't even have to plug this one in. It's solar
that's
powered.
cool. I wonder how much range you can get in a day or so.
They're pretty small, so I'd imagine they'd be
better than
efficient.
nothing.
Exactly.
Better than nothing. Yeah, that's cool. That speaking of, you and I are not Tesla owners, but we're big Tesla fans.
Of course, yes.
Guess who else doesn't own a Tesla? Sandy
Nikola?
Monroe.
Oh, he owns a Tesla. He has lots of Teslas. He's taking them apart.
No, he said he doesn't drive one though.
Well, he doesn't. He
does different. One. He doesn't. Okay, I own a Tesla.
Oh, I own a Tesla too. I took it off my wall to replace it with the space paintings. And I'm like, this is a fun.
I just mean he
Tesla.
doesn't. Okay, you and I don't drive Teslas, and neither does Sandy. There you go.
Yeah, that's true. So we're good company because Sandy is so well respected. Like. That guy really gets around.
Well, he's smart.
Oh, dude.
He has a ton of experience.
Totally.
He knows what he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, back when I was helping Boeing, I was on a 5-person team helping Boeing design the 787, and I was just like, what? Oh yeah, back when I was at Ford, I made this new motor that they've used for years now, and I'm like, he helped design the engine that's in my car right now. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he just knows stuff. Yeah.
I mean, like,
he's got so much history.
This is cool.
It's cool. Have you well, I know you have. You brought it up after we recorded, I think, the last EV podcast. You want to talk about Lordstown Motors? I know some people don't want us talking about Tesla so much on our EV podcast.
Well,
so let's
pretty much
let's
we've
talk
only
about a
talked
startup.
Nikola, that we haven't really even talked about Tesla here, so this is the episode.
Barely.
We've mentioned it a few times, but we haven't talked about Tesla. Yeah, so Lordstown Motors. I had no idea they existed until when I texted you. I was just like, "Hey, have you ever heard of this company?" Because I saw him. The president did some kind of random press conference in front of the White House with it, and
I didn't follow that. I
saw it in my
keep
feed.
in touch with that.
I know. I normally don't either, but I just saw it in my feed, and I was like, "Why is the president I kind of hate it when politicians endorse products, and is it a general rule,
Because now it's if I buy that product, someone thinks I like that politician.
Exactly. Or even the fact that the politician is probably getting something out of it, right? Whether it's money or jobs in a certain area or something. It's just, I've never really liked it when politicians endorse specific products. So anyway, I saw Trump doing it, and I was like, oh boy, standing in front of some pickup truck, and I was like, is that a Ford? And I was kind of looking at it, and I was like, I've never seen that kind of car. It's weird. It has
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And it was just one camera angle of just Trump or was it Pence or Trump? I can't remember. Anyway, one of the two.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. A politician that shouldn't be endorsing something, right? But anyway, I was like, this is interesting. So I did I just Googled Lordstown Motors, and they had a website, and I was like, okay, so I guess maybe they actually have a product, and evidently they're in the startup phase, but enough about how I figured out about them. Let's talk about Lordstown Motors specifically. Yeah. They are trying to design a $53,000 pickup truck that will be coming out possibly before the Cybertruck, and they're actually pretty far along for being a pretty new startup. So you think how long
they kind of have all the perfect recipe. They have everything.
They have the recipe, and that's what you and I were going back and forth about.
Yeah, we texted about it.
Rivian has a good idea, but it's to be seen if they can actually implement that, right? It's pretty radical new approach with, that surfboard trunk space and you can stick something in sideways, and it's Rivian's making.
And Lordstown's kind of in a similar position.
Well,
to Rivian
Lordstown's
right
very
now.
traditional. Right now they don't have anything. They have one more working prototype than Nikola ever did, which is kind of nice.
That's true.
But
so do I.
Me too.
Here's my prototype.
Just get that.
I now have more.
Lens that Marquez uses.
It's self-propelled.
Yeah. Ooh, wow!
It's moving all by itself.
Fancy. Is it hydrogen powered?
Yeah.
But anyway, so this little company. I think they bought an old GM manufacturing plant in Lordstown, Michigan. I believe Michigan. I don't remember what state it's in.
Ohio.
Lordstown, Ohio. Oh, that sounds right. Ohio.
It's on their website. I'm looking at their site right now.
It was an old GM plant, and so it has all of the. It used to make GM pickup trucks, and that's what used to roll out of that factory line. And all of the equipment is still there. They bought it with the equipment. And so GM is actually helping them reactivate a lot of these machines and tweak them here and there to be able to create an electric pickup truck. And so their line is fairly well built out. I mean, they have a lot of the machinery already there. They obviously need to work on making it because they're not rolling off the line
there's
yet.
Lots of changes to make with an electric versus internal combustion.
But the things is, they already have the stamp press. They already have the presses for the body panels. They already have a bunch of the welding equipment. They already have
They have a
line.
Operational building, which
is way more than Nikola ever had. And actually, it's more than Tesla has with the Cybertruck right now.
Right, because Giga Texas is in construction phase, and Lordstown has said in multiple interviews they're trying to beat everyone to market. They want to be the first electric pickup. So I think their main company they're going up against would be Rivian at this point, but they're undercutting Rivian quite a bit. Because Rivian is, first of all, going to start out with their more expensive vehicles, which should be around six figures, so very expensive. And the reason I have some skepticism but some excitement at the same time with Lordstown is that their price seems too good to be true. Yes. For one, they're saying their vehicle is going to go 250 miles per charge. So obviously, I think it's safe to say this isn't a Cybertruck killer. Don't call it a Tesla killer.
And also
very different.
The market they're going after is a corporate market where you're buying a fleet of vehicles. It's very clear on the website. Of course you can buy one, but all of their marketing is kind of pointed towards fleet style stuff. So yeah. keep that in mind when you're going over prices and range. Like this are going to be like utility trucks or,
It does have the biggest spec, in case you're wondering, like, well, if you can still order one, how is it for commercial? I would say the biggest spec that is proof it's for fleet vehicles is that it has a max speed of 80 miles an hour, which I was like, wait, what? Wait, why? Maybe that helps them reach that range or something. But 4 motors, kind of like Rivian, the hub motors that are built into the tires, which is it has kind of a different, unique look to it, that's for sure. And they want to hit, obviously, 250-mile range, $53,000 by summer of next year. So pretty soon. And they've got the factory. They've got prototypes. Don't worry. They have, they've driven them around. They've showcased them at events in motion, not rolling down hills.
Up the hill, driving up onto the stage.
Yeah, driving them around, doing testing. And they haven't exactly disclosed, I guess through the tech specs of the Endurance, that's the name of this pickup truck, which they haven't really showcased much configurations with it. There's pretty much only one spec. But maybe that helps them with simplicity. And they're advertising a lot how the Endurance has the least moving parts of any vehicle out there. Like it's very simple. There's like 4 moving parts in total. Very basic, very simple design with the equivalent of around 75 miles per gallon if this was a direct gas to electric comparison. So design-wise, it's not insanely original.
No. It's
I would say
pretty much one of the old GM pickups. I mean,
yeah,
they're staying pretty
it looks
close.
like a truck.
You can see where they're, and that's great because that's really what we need at the end of the day, right? We need more electric pickup trucks that are going to be able to, because that's the biggest part right now. We got great consumer, sedans and SUVs and tons of options.
Options are good,
but we don't have any pickup trucks yet, and so all of these, electric companies or whoever needs like more fleet type vehicles, they're having to make a real tough decision right now and buying more gas cars, which I think we all agree is not really the future. I think it's going to be around for quite a while, but it's not really the future. And they have to invest lots of money into these fleet vehicles. And these endurance vehicles are supposed to last between 7 and 10 years with under, I don't remember how many dollars they said in maintenance, but that's their goal.
Much less than a Ford F-150, which was what they were comparing it to. It was like, here's how much a Ford costs, here's how much ours cost, and cost of ownership. And obviously,
really
electric's going to be better.
Ownership thing.
Yeah, here on their website for the Ford F-150, I'm not sure exactly how long this is meant to go off of, but basically, by the time you've spent over $5,000 on maintenance for an F-150, you will have spent around $1,800 on the Endurance, and like $5,200 in fuel cost for the Endurance, or charge cost. I don't know why they said fuel, but it would be around $15,000 for the Ford F-150. So they're all pushing for cost of ownership to be lower, and still 0 to 60 5.5 seconds, and good performance and that kind of thing. Design's not my thing, to be perfectly honest, but that's not the point. Some people aren't going to be Cybertruck fans. Yeah. I still prefer, like many of our Tesla fans out there, once you see the Cybertruck, everything else just feels old. Yeah, exactly. But I understand not everyone will get behind the Cybertruck design for whatever reason. But if they can actually deliver on this, I think it's extremely impressive for the company's first vehicle, because pretty much any EV startup I can think of always begins with 6-figure cars with high profit margins. And the idea that this is their first car and they're going to start it at $53K and it can go 250 miles, which isn't amazing, but still not terrible either. It's pretty impressive. It's probably, I haven't seen them talk much about any autonomous features or lane guidance or that kind of thing. But if there's a way you can buy a $50,000 pickup truck that is electric and can go well over 200 miles per charge, I'd say that's pretty sweet.
Cheap cost of ownership and really like reliable. Like I think that's out of all of the things that I like the most about electric vehicles is just the few number of things that can actually go wrong, right?
Yeah, they're simple.
And okay, they're complex to actually repair, right? Like I'm not expecting I can get in there with a soldering iron and fix the motherboard of a Tesla, but it's not like I have to take it into the shop and have my head gasket, fixed or my transmission replaced in a Tesla or in one of these endurance vehicles.
Pretty much almost everything I can think of, I've had to bring my car into a car shop for, were things that electric cars wouldn't have.
Exactly.
It's been head gaskets, it's been oil, it's been brake pads, it's been all kinds of things that you would not have to worry about with electric. And yeah, I know it's not going to help with owner repairability, but that's sadly all new cars these days. Even internal combustion engine cars are getting harder to work on. But the one thing I do worry about is having the hub motors, how that affects flat tires. Like, how do you change the tire if the motor is inside it? Like,
I'd imagine there's still a hub that it connects to. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how this works, but I'd imagine it wouldn't be too bad. Maybe it
probably a little bit more complicated than a typical
probably less room. Though. I mean, my car has disc brakes on the front and drum brakes on the back, so it's that kind of a cheap car. And those drum brakes are pretty big. Like, they take up quite a large amount of the inside of the wheel. And so, I mean, I've changed my tires before, and it's a little bit harder to get around with the drum brakes, but it's doable. You don't really have to get on the backside of it too much. So I don't know.
Well, that's good.
Maybe.
But it's if anything, I would say it's a Rivian killer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how I describe it.
If it comes out, right? Like, this is a startup, and they do already have a factory, but it might not come out.
That's very unproven. That's where a lot of EV startups are right now. They're in the here's what we want to do and here's what we're doing, and obviously it's very hard to truly judge them because they're not out yet. But if you want us to talk about more upcoming stuff, then this one is definitely one I've got my eye on now that I feel like most people don't know about.
Yeah. I had no idea it existed
space.
A week ago. That was so cool. Like,
yeah.
It's been around since July. Like, they had their big public unveiling in July, and I'm like, wow, that I didn't know about this electric vehicle company, and I think I'm pretty up to snuff on the electric vehicle news, right?
I thought that's what I thought, and then you sent me the link, and I was like, oh, that's pretty compelling, actually. I mean, 250 miles, like, for someone like me, would be plenty.
Totally.
And yeah, a lot of people don't need their. I was commenting on the design. I'm looking at the Endurance right now. It's kind of interesting that they're going for traditional design compared to Cybertruck, but at the same time, EVs have this thing with headlights.
Headlights, yes.
EVs always have to do something weird with the front because they're like, well, a grill is pointless, so we don't want a grill, but we have to put something there. So they have this weird giant front nose looking thing to the Endurance that I kind of dig the motors in the hub though. Like the look of it.
Especially when they pick like yellow or something. Like they can use contrasting colors. Pretty cool there.
Well, it's like a copper metal interior on that
more yellowy.
On that wheel. But that motor in the wheel thing is kind of an interesting look. So it's almost like somewhat futuristic, but not quite Cybertruck levels of futuristic. It's kind of a in-between spectrum. Whereas I feel like Ford with the electric F-150 will probably look almost exactly like a normal F-150. It happens to be electric, and maybe they do something weird with the grill.
Yeah, they will. They have to. It's
a requirement.
Requirement of EVs. You have to do something.
Any EV pickup, you got to make some kind of weird headlight. But I think a lot of people, to get them into EVs, this is what you need. You kind of need the basic, like, it's not too fancy, not too expensive. I mean, $50K is a lot, but in comparison to the Ford F-150 it's going up against, it's actually pretty dang close price-wise. And I'm hoping it's real. That's what I'm hoping. But they did also mention some things when they talked to The Verge about their facility, which is, it's big, but they're not quite ready for the same scale, I think, that Tesla's going for. Their main goal was
they said 100,000 or 100,000 next year and 600,000 the year after, and I'm like, yeah, that 600,000 is not going to be.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw them say The Verge say that they wanted to hit like 30,000 vehicles in 2022.
30, okay. I'm seeing if I can find that real quick.
Okay.
But yeah,
I know their
I thought,
facility can, at full force, go 600,000 a year or something, but that I don't think they were planning on reaching that very quickly. Here's the facility can do 600,000 per year, but I don't think they're ready to do that.
Yeah, they're saying initial
year.
deliveries are scheduled for the first half of 2021.
First half.
Yeah.
So that means
Before
before July, around June,
Yeah.
something like that. You can pre-order them for $100, as
It's
you
non-binding.
can every electric pickup.
Exactly.
But I just they feel underrated in my opinion. If they're legit, it could it could end up being
so much
delayed
more
a year
legit
from now.
than the other company we talked about. Like, they
Yes.
have a factory,
Yes.
they have a prototype, they have the president
They've
and
driven
vice
it
president
around.
being excited about it for some reason.
They've done unveilings and they had people film the interior and stuff. I saw some YouTube clips of people showing a fairly basic interior, but I kind of like
much,
that.
though. It's like
No.
this isn't like a car that I would buy, right? Like, I wouldn't get
Right.
this, mostly because the Cybertruck is amazing, but also
That's where I am.
I'm also digging it because this is a good corporate vehicle. Like, the company who is going to have this is, I used to work at a small manufacturing plant, and we had a delivery system, and we had a bunch of pickup trucks that would deliver products around the city, and like, they had, I don't know, 5 or 10 of them. I mean, they're just basic white, 2-door F-150, pickup trucks. Like, there wasn't anything super exciting about them, and I could totally see our company having, a good number of those. Like, my old company, I don't work there anymore, but I think it's a great option, and I like the styling. Those 2 little lines that go down the side of it, I dig that. I mean, not as much as I like the Cybertruck, or honestly, I think the Rivian is a little bit better, but I think it looks better than any pickup truck on the market today. So
yeah, I would rather have that over a basic Tacoma or
yeah,
F-150, just traditional truck. But it's able to stand out a little bit. You could pick it out in the crowd of trucks a little bit better. Not as easily as the Cybertruck, for sure, but just good to see some other promising competition in the works, and with rigorous deadlines, which I like. I like to see people try to beat Tesla to something, because Tesla's pretty fast.
Totally.
And they kind of have a monopoly in a lot of the EV space right now. So if someone else can enter the picture and say, hey, we've already got a factory, we've already got our prototype, we've already working on ramping production, and we want to get it out, first half of 21, then I'm like, do it. Please, please make it happen.
And I also like the fact that they're pretty open about their funding and financing. Like, Nikola, you didn't know where any of the money was coming from, but they were purchased on August 3rd by a company, Diamond Peak Holdings Corp, for $675 million, which included the $75 million worth of investments from General Motors. That is part of that factory deal and getting them online, and then the other $500 million is $600 million is capital that they can use to get this up and running, because it's good to see that they have the cash in the bank, they have a factory, they have experts from GM as a part of that $75 million transaction with GM. GM is actually going to be sending some engineers to help them retool the old GM line into this line, and they already have the workforce, right? Because everything seems to be lining up here, and I'm pretty excited about these people. So now it's Cybertruck, Lordstown, and then maybe Rivian or something, and then way down in the basement.
Just too expensive. Nikola. That's why I have a hard time getting behind them.
They look nice. I think Rivian, besides Cybertruck, has the best design of all the electric pickup trucks.
I like that look, and I like the functionality it has, and I want them to do well, and I want them to succeed, but it's just, I think Rivian's biggest problem is that price point, and other thing to consider is that because Lordstown is new, they still get to benefit from the $7,500 tax credit.
That's something they made sure to have at the front of their website during the little comparison thing, where you can see how much it would cost to buy an Endurance for $52,500, and then after their default expenses for a year, the total was $52,000. So you're actually saving $500 by buying this vehicle in their math, which probably isn't super accurate. But it's funny that their fuel costs and maintenance costs that are estimated are less than the federal tax credit for the first year. So
yeah,
I'm all for
dope.
it. I'm so excited.
And the only fishy thing about it, they seem to have a lot of things going well for them financially, and they are doing. I think they've announced they're doing a reverse merger in this quarter. So they are going to go public in a few months.
They're going under. I was just on that site. Anyway, yeah, they're going public.
So they are a little bit caving into the capitalizing on the EV investment thing, but I can't really blame them considering. I would say, sort of how Nikola did their reverse merger, but they had nothing. This company wants to do a reverse merger, but they actually have something. So they might be able to utilize that capital in a way that is helpful. They're going to be
under the new ticker symbol RIDE, RIDE.
RIDE. Okay.
So look them up on your stocks app, folks.
I'm not recommending everyone invest in them.
No.
But
not financial advice. Talk to your financial planner.
No financial advice here. But I hope that they're able to get at least some capital that they can actually hit the numbers they're promising, because the most skeptical thing I see is the price for the range. Based on their energy consumption, they've said on their website, with a 250-mile range, it sounds like they would have something like a 100 kilowatt-hour battery.
Where do you think they're going to be sourcing those from? Panasonic?
Yeah, that's the big question, because Tesla knows the biggest problem with ramping electric vehicles is battery production, and obviously GM was not producing a bunch of batteries at this plant, so that's not where they're coming from. So they're probably going to be partnering with someone, and I imagine that's going to be the biggest bottleneck on ramping this. That and the fact that not that many people know about them in the first place.
I know. What is wrong here?
Which might be in their favor to prevent over demand. Just, one day they launch this thing next year and people start ordering them, and then it's like, okay, your order will be ready in 5 years. So stay tuned. Tesla might be able to beat them in sales simply because they will have a higher output capacity. If what they said to The Verge was accurate, which is 30,000 vehicles by all of 2022, which is not a huge amount. And
but their markets are not going after Tesla's markets. Like, Tesla is consumer.
Little overlap.
I mean, okay, pickup truck, yeah, okay, in the sector of pickup
Cybertruck,
truck, sure. Cybertruck versus endurance, yes, they are in the same category, but they seemed real focused on fleet stuff, like getting your team working on endurance. Like it's not. Their pitch is, at the end of the day, their pitch seems to be more to the corporate, fleet type purchaser. And the corporate fleet type purchaser is most worried about the cost, right? Like that's their biggest factor. And Tesla can overcharge a little bit, but because they're, have a cool design that I appreciate. And honestly, people who are, 50-year-olds who are in charge of buying these fleet machines are probably going to be a little less psyched about the Cybertruck design on average than this kind of more traditional design that still looks pretty modern and sleek. I'm
given Cybertruck as a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Everywhere you park that thing, people are going to start asking you about it. And some people don't want that. Some people don't want something that really, really stands out, that turns heads. They want something that kind of blends into the background. And I think the Endurance would be pretty good at that. Would kind of blend in. Wouldn't really think twice if you saw one in a parking lot. You'd just be kind of, okay.
Nice,
whereas a Cybertruck,
nice new truck.
You're like, what the heck is that?
What movie set is filming here today?
Right. And, it's a personal preference thing. I get it. But, if they're able to sell $50,000 truck with a 100 kilowatt hour battery, I hope they're profitable.
250 miles of range. I mean, the specs seem to be there.
I don't know.
We'll
it's expensive. I know how much the batteries are for Tesla's vehicles, and I know that GM probably isn't going to get them much cheaper than Tesla is.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the profit margins are on a vehicle like this.
If you think about it, they're they don't have a lot of upstart costs, right, that they need to make sure to make back. Okay, yes, there's some. They have to retool this assembly line. I'm not trying to downplay that. But The building's there. Most of the machines are already there. It's just a matter of
and staff
retooling them. Yeah, retooling them, and there's some staffing there. Yeah, but it's not like Tesla where they're trying to, when they made the Roadster, their first car, they were rebuilding each one by hand. Each one was slightly different. They didn't really have a good process for it yet, and they're able to kind of skip that, and they don't have that big investment, and they don't have to have a big expensive gasoline motor. Like, as expensive as the battery pack is, that's about as expensive as a normal gas motor is for a vehicle. $5,000 to $10,000 is what goes into a gas vehicle. Those things are pretty complicated little chemistry sets in the front of your car that are very complex.
They have lots more scale.
Right.
They have a lot more vehicles to scale for.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know.
Not a ton
We've given them enough free advertising this week.
Okay.
Everyone go buy Rivian.
There you go.
Endurance is failing.
The Rivian killer before Rivian even comes out. They're not alive, but they're already dead.
That's how I wake up every morning. I have not yet woken up, but I'm already dead inside.
Every day, though, I'm watching Jeff Roberts updates on Giga Texas. They're putting in another cement pillar each day. I see more.
Wow.
More and more going in with the rebarb, and I just get more and more excited to see that factor. You know what's crazy is I don't think people realize how quickly Giga Berlin went up.
Yeah.
We're talking
it's not
about
really
production.
in the news as much as Shanghai was.
No, they don't really cover it that closely. But if you watch it, you'll see little changes day after day. Oh, okay, now they got this ceiling up. Now they got this building up. Whoa, now this building's up. If you just scroll back 90 days, look at one of the Giga Berlin update videos from like 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. It was like nothing. It was like dirt. Like 3 months ago even, they were just now like putting cement in the ground. And now you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like almost done, I guess. They got these giant 3-story concrete pillars, and they've got several different facilities with roofs already, and they've already got the what's it called? The glass windows at the top that you can see through. Skylights. They've already got those kind of basic skylights going in under the certain facilities, and they're working on the flooring, and all of this happens so fast. So I'm excited to see Texas shoot up real quick at an astounding rate, but and smoke all these other trucks with the Cybertruck. But either way, competition's good.
Definitely.
I think pickup truck market's huge, so there's room for everyone. Lordstown, Rivian, Tesla, you can all succeed. Badger, no, you're dead.
No, Badger's dead.
Everyone else.
Go back to the corner, Badger. You don't exist.
You don't exist. There's no prototype, so you aren't real. But yeah, I think there's plenty of room for everybody for the foreseeable future, though Tesla will have a hard time not dominating, I think, with the supercharging, the range, the prices.
Oh, they didn't mention what supercharger network they'll be using. Probably Electrify America, but
I think I saw a video clip of someone showing endurance with the standard. I think it was a CCS plug on the side. So I meant, just like everybody else except Tesla. They do the same, which is probably good.
Yeah,
it's probably what they all should be doing.
Come on, Tesla. Ship it with 2 ports. How hard is that?
I know. That's one thing I like about the Taycan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things I like about the Taycan, but that's probably the biggest one. You can charge it from either side.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have two taillights on Tesla.
No. I mean, I would argue supercharging is more helpful than 2 charge outlets, but
not if you charge at home and the outlet's on the wrong side of your garage and you got to do like a weird, extension cable.
That's a good point. That's true.
And even just having 2 charging ports on 2 sides of the vehicle, being able to have your Tesla supercharger and a CCS port too would be kind of nice.
Oh, Nick, that's a good idea.
And then you don't have to choose.
Oh my God. Why has no one thought of that?
Oh, I thought lots of people have thought of that.
Really?
I've always wondered that. Like,
has no one ever told me that before? Because I was like, that's the perfect way you could keep all of our current superchargers.
Exactly. Just start
and then at the same time now be compatible with all the other chargers.
Yeah. And you don't have any adapters. And okay, maybe there's some more complexity on, you have to have like a little some other power modulator or something on the inside, but on a $50,000
So you've got the normal
cars.
Tesla proprietary port on, I think, the driver's side.
Yeah.
And then
on the
CCS
opposite side
on
on
the
the
other
side. Yeah.
Dang, Nick, that's a good idea. Never thought about that before.
Well, thank you.
I don't know. I guess that wouldn't fix people's complaint of superchargers should be able to charge any EV, but
that'll
I mean,
fix everyone's complaints of Teslas can't use Electrify America's farly superior network.
they're farly superior and more expensive and less stalled network.
Yes.
With more clunky user interface. But yes, much better. Oh, man. Well, I can't believe we went through this whole podcast. We didn't talk about deliveries. Did you catch the delivery number?
Yes! 180.
All new record.
Right? Or wait, 300? What's the number?
140,000.
140,000 for this quarter, but they're going to make the 500 this year probably, right? With 180,000.
It's looking likely. Looking very likely, yeah. So, did we talk about reaching guidance before? Did we think they were going to do it? I can't remember.
I can't remember. We probably did.
I remember
I would assume
saying they will.
I would assume they will. I mean, every other company in the world has been blaming all their failures on COVID this year. They've been like, we weren't profitable before, but COVID is the reason why we're now not able to survive. And you're like, oh, okay, what do you do? Oh, you make PPE and you still can't make it goodbye? All right, yeah, we need to bail you out.
Right.
But
do you think Tesla will be profitable even without the Zev credits this quarter?
I think cash basis, like, they're going to be profitable. I don't know if you exclude the credits. I'd say maybe not, but
okay.
I think
not
overall,
that it matters, but
overall they'll be bringing in a profit. I mean, there's no question that
sure.
for the year, which will make their third year of profitability, right?
Fifth quarter
in a row, but
yeah.
What in years? Last year was profitable, right? 2019 and 20. No,
only the last 2 quarters were profitable.
I'm talking on a year basis. So was 2019
on
profitable?
a year basis? I don't know.
Okay.
I think so because Q3 and Q4 were really good.
I think 2019 was a barely profitable year on a whole. So I don't know. Someone else.
I think their last record for deliveries and production was Q4 of 2019, and now they just beat it in Q3, okay. And of course they're going to beat that now in Q4. So just kind of nonstop, and it's only going up from here because they've got Berlin going online next year and Texas at the very end. So it's funny, right? The more factories there are, the more vehicles are produced. It's crazy, I know.
Who would have guessed there was a direct correlation between the number of cars you're able to produce and the size of your factories?
Right. Like Nikola has no factories.
And they make no cars. They've never made a single car.
It's like, I think there's a way you can calculate which companies will make the most EVs by how many factories they have.
And Lordstown has a factory, and so they're going to make a few cars. But Tesla has like 20 factories, and so they're going to make like 20,000 cars. It's just...
Exactly. Makes a lot of sense, actually. Huh. Well, I'm excited for the Q3 earnings call. I'm predicting it's going to be one of the most profitable quarters ever. And
I think so.
They're going to... I think it'd be really a good punch into the face to short sellers to be like, oh, we were also profitable without the Zev credits. Even if you don't count those, we were profitable, but we are going to count those because we're going to use that money towards more factories and building more stuff.
I think it'll be within a few $1 million without the credits, plus or minus maybe, but it'll be really close to break even without the credits.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. They do count.
Yeah, they do.
You do get that money. So they can spend that however they want. Probably goes towards paying the construction crews. How can you guys build faster? Can you build like, we'll pay you an extra $80 million if you can come out a month sooner than scheduled. And they're like, okay, fine. We'll make it work. We'll see, though. Anyway, we'll have an actual Tesla owner on the show next week. He's
it's a guest.
Special
we've been
guest
working
star.
Really hard to get him. He's quite popular. His Model 3
very busy.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's Model 3 is legit the coolest Model 3 in the world. So It took me a while to get him scheduled, but we're gonna have this guy Randy Vasquez.
Vaz something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know him very well, but
Vaz.
that's it. Vasquez.
Yes,
I
Fast
think
Gas.
I haven't done much research on him, but I look forward to getting to know him better next week.
I hope he's not a jerk. If he doesn't treat me.
There's no chances of that. Anyway, thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ba-ba-ba.